So today on Old Folks Adventures, we're taking a tour in Rockport, Indiana, which houses the Lincoln Pioneer Village and Museum, which during his very young years was very informative for his upbringing in life. So we're going to look around and see what we got. So this here is Josiah Crawford's home, and Abe Lincoln worked with them and brought some books from them too. So while Abe Lincoln was living about 12 miles away, they had to come down to Rockport because this is where they would send stuff off down the Ohio River. So inside the Crawford's home, here's the fireplace and hearth, and I don't know how much room this is, maybe 15 by 15 or 15 by 12. You had a ladder to get up to the sleeping loft. And a bed. So as you can see, back then, they didn't have very much of an area to move around in. So while in the Spencer County, Rockport area, one of the more influential people that Lincoln, as a young boy, met was John Pitcher. And John Pitcher come out here and settled in Rockport. He was a sheriff. He was a lawyer. He also was a statesman. So early on in Lincoln's life, he would give Lincoln books and also point him in the way of law. So he's the one that kind of helped push Lincoln to become a lawyer before he moved to Springfield, Illinois. Later on, Pitcher moved from here, went to Mount Vernon, Indiana. So they kept pretty close ties with each other through the years. We'll go in and see what his office looks like. So here, his office would be, he'd have a desk, and I think they actually have a picture of him. So Lincoln would have come and spent time with him and learn about the law, which influenced him all the way up through his presidential campaigns and debates, and also his presidency. So what we're looking at now is Jones' store, and this actually was really close to where the Lincoln's homestead was, and Colonel William Jones hired Lincoln as a clerk to work for him for 25 cents a day in the store, where he could continue his studies, and then he learned how to socialize with people and read newspapers to continue his own education on his own. So this is the inside of the Jones store, and you kind of see the counter, the goods around there. Kind of interesting light up there. So everything's pretty small back then. Today, we think we're crowded when we have a 3 or 4 bedroom home, and they all slept in a 1-room home. Now we're looking at the Old Pigeon Baptist Church, and the original log church was with 15 members. Abe Lincoln and his dad helped build the church, but Abe Lincoln was not a member because at the time, in order to be a member, you had to be married and 21. So Abe was too young and wasn't married. You can see the logs coming out right up here for the upper room. That was used to house travelers as they come by. So we look at this church. You got a fireplace and hearth on one side. We go around, and we have another on the other side. And that was the stairs going up to where travelers could stay overnight if they needed to. So this house here is dedicated to Hazel Dorsey, and when she lived here, or he lived here, she was one of his favorite teachers, which taught him math and trained him in public speaking. This cabin was originally the first court of law in Spencer County, and the desk that's inside is from the original courthouse. So it's not actually her cabin, but it was moved here and put in honor of her, and we'll go in and look at it. Hard to believe, at one time they would hold court in this building. This memorial here is for William Holmes McGuffey, that started the Pioneer Village and was a great influence on getting it going. So what we're looking at here is a typical schoolhouse, which Lincoln himself didn't attend a whole lot because he had to work and do other things. But this would be your typical one-room school. We'll go up in here. So it's a little dark in this cabin here, but this is Gentry's mansion, and this kind of gives you a look at what a pretty good sized cabin would have. As you can see, the stairs were very steep back then, and one mess up and you would be in trouble. So this building here is a transportation building, and it's kind of unique in the fact that it was actually a movie prop that was built in 1955 for the movie The Kentuckian. It was used for a transportation station during that time. Pretty neat. Let's go in and see what we can see if we can get the door open. Oh, cool. They got some old buggies in here. I gotta watch the cell floor is very uneven. Got an old hearse back here in the back. So this here is an old wagon jack that if they broke the wheel off or had to replace a wheel, they'd work it up in notches and get it up on its, where it lifted it up. So here we're looking at a replica of the flatboat type of design that Lincoln would have left when he was 19 years old and floated down the Ohio River to New Orleans. And James Gentry, the richest man in the community, hired Abraham to accompany his son to New Orleans in a flatboat loaded with produce in 1828. So this kind of shows you the journey he went. September 9th, he left in October. He got to Evansville, Indiana about the 10th, ended up in Malvern, Indiana, which would be right here on the 12th. And then he got down to the Cave and Rock in this area on the 13th. By the 15th, or excuse me, by the 17th, he finally made it all the way down here to Cairo. So yeah, they made it down all the way down here in October. So that's, we got time, we'll swing by and we'll actually show you where he took off from. This is a replica of the cabin that the Lincolns would have stayed in. And they were here in the Rockport area for about 14 years and would have had 8 people living in this house. So we'll take a look and see what we see inside. So originally the cabin wasn't this big. It was 3-sided, and then they slowly built this one here to be a little bit bigger. And you have our living quarters. And then they would also sleep up here by climbing pegs on the wall, which I can't find the pegs. Let me look around. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So to get up into the loft, they would have climbed up these pegs and gone right up into there. I don't think it'd meet any building codes today. So this has been a little bit surprised here. I didn't think it was going to have all this. I got a Japanese rifle, paratrooper rifle, machete, West Point uniform. So yeah, I was surprised. This is Lincoln Pioneer Village, and I'm quite surprised to see this in here. This here is a display disc that is for Harrison Town and Country and Paints that was here in Rockport. So here we got a butter mold and a coffee mill. So if you like coffee back then, you used to grind them up in a mill like that. And they got some butter turns down here that they would use during Lincoln's time. So earlier we were in Lincoln Pioneer Village, and we've seen where Lincoln took off on a flatboat and headed down the Ohio River. And this marker marks where that would have happened. This is the markings of the lower landing, where in 1828, at the age of 19, Abraham Lincoln made his start of the trip down there to New Orleans. And then we come around, and it really only talks about Lincoln and the boy, but they had several people on there as the crew members. to float down this trip. The importance of Lincoln living here in this part of the country was this Ohio River, which will later serve him greatly when he becomes president. But at the same time, he also was being exposed to freed black men and then also slaves, because right across the river over here is where Kentucky had slaves. So it wasn't that because he took the trip down to New Orleans that he first was introduced to slavery. He actually experienced it just by trading right here on the river. So he understood the cost, he understood what the Ohio River meant for the country, and that was all because he grew up and lived close by and traded on this port. So with that, we're going to end the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out our website, oldfolksadventures.com. Give us a like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.